All right, now let's get to the best bets. Now, I'll be fully honest. I've been a little bit cold here of late with my full slate of picks. Did hit my best bet on the show last week, thank God. But as far as my full week of bets, there's really been one area that I have not faltered one bit, and that's old faithful, old reliable Maction. I love Maction. You love Maction. I'm going to Maction. This is Wednesday night, so hopefully you're listening to this early. Get it in. I'm taking Central Michigan -1. They were going to be my money line dog because they opened as a dog. I bet them at +110 earlier in the week. They have now swung to favorites because smart people realize that they are way better than Ball State. I'm still taking them at -1. They started the year a little iffy because they were going with Jacob Sermon, the Washington transfer. Since then, they have gone back to Daniel Richardson, who was their quarterback last year. I love Daniel Richardson. Mike, I think I mentioned this to you earlier in the year. He looks like he's 5'10", 205. He's like a little bowling ball. He looks like if Raymond Felton played college football. He's just the perfect little, ball of a quarterback, but he's awesome. He has a cannon for an arm. Not as mobile as you'd think, but he's just really good. And since he's taken over, they lost his first start to Miami of Ohio, but he played great in it. Then they beat Ohio. Then they beat Toledo. Then they lost to Northern Illinois, who's just been the horseshoe team of the year. They lost that game because they fumbled the snap on the game-winning field goal. Then they pounded Western Michigan. Then they pounded Kent State. And Central Michigan is second in the MAC in yards per game and points per game this year. They're averaging 34.5 points per game in conference play. Richardson's absolutely cooking. He's got 19 touchdowns and 2 interceptions this season. Last week against Kent State, he went 17 for 21, 268 yards, 4 touchdowns. We've talked about their weapons before. Hamilton, Dixon, Sullivan, their offense is so good. They have so many weapons. They're 31st in pass success, 21st in big plays. That's going to be a problem. Ball State's defense stinks. They're 128th in pass success. They're 97th in coverage grade. Now, the thing with this game is it's going to be very windy and rainy. So you have to, maybe that hinders Richardson a little bit. But you want to know who else is cooking? Lou Nichols. He ran for 215 yards and 4 touchdowns against Kent State last week. He's averaging 130 yards per game, which leads the MAC and is third in the entire country. Ball State's defense is also not good against the run. They're 91st in rushing success, 87th in line yards. And we've seen it all year. The Ball State offense has been unable to replace Caleb Huntley. They're just 70th in the country in rush success. They're 101st in pass success. Drew Plitt has just not been what he was last year. He is dead last in the conference, averaging just 6.4 yards per attempt. To put that in perspective, that's even worse than Matt McDonald, which is hard to do. So I just think the Chips are a better team. I think that's why they've swung to favorites. I think Ball State's going to have a hard time slowing down this offense. And, wet, rainy, I just don't trust the Ball State offense to be able to move the ball as consistently on the ground as Central Michigan will behind Nichols. So fire up Chips. I'm taking Central Michigan as my best bet. That's mine. We won't spend too much time on it because we want you guys to get that in right now because it's tonight, obviously. Breeze, what is your best bet for this week?
For my best bet, I'm returning to the Mountain West Conference. And really what could arguably be for me, I'm going to go on the record and say this is my pick of the year here on the podcast. Boise State -27.5 hosting New Mexico. It's pretty simple. New Mexico is rudderless. They are adrift. They have no pop at all offensively. Let me get into the finer points here. They haven't scored more than 17 points in a game in 2 months. And then when you look a little bit closer, they are all the way at the bottom of FBS in points per game, 13.6. That means UConn, UMass, Vandy, all better scoring offenses than the Lobos. So is there any chance here that if they fall behind, that they can get back in it? Maybe they're just a snake bit team. Maybe they don't convert in the red zone. No, they are the worst non-service academy passing offense in the country, only 126 yards per game. So when you look at Boise, what have they done for us lately? They've won 4 or 5. George Halani is finally toting the rock, giving them balance offensively. He's gone for back-to-back 100-yard rushing performances. And then Bachmeier has basically been the guy that we were hoping he'd be from the start this year. He's not turning the ball over. He's at 65% of his passes in the last 3, 0 turnovers. I think this offense is ready to rock. I love Boise in this spot. I think, when you looked at them mid-season, you might say to yourself, this is a Boise team that's lost its identity. It doesn't have any fear factor on the Smurf turf. I think they've turned that around with this, this current run that they're on. And once again, New Mexico just does not have it offensively. And this is the time of year, I know likes to point it out, you got to fade those teams who are quitting. The Lobos have quit. Let's go with the Broncos here, laying 4 touchdowns.